Okay, so,
Get this, our deep dive today.
it takes us down a rabbit hole.
That began with a simple image on Reddit.
Okay.
Picture this, a massive,
Somewhat eerie antenna.
looming over a snowy landscape.
The kind of photo that makes you wonder about its history, you know?
Ah, yes,
The abandoned Soviet aesthetic.
a visual genre unto itself these days.
Exactly. And this particular image
That popped up on Spurt.
is a subreddit not exactly known for sparking philosophical debates.
Right. As we'll see, the internet always has surprises in store.
Because the top comment on this picture...
It wasn't about the structure itself, but rather a playful warning. Please don't aim it at the sun.
A seemingly innocuous comment.
But for those familiar with the three-body problem,
Well, it takes on a whole new meaning.
right. It's like the comment section instantly.
Morphed into a fan club for this wildly popular sci-fi series.
For those who haven't had the pleasure, the three-body problem.
Explores the potential consequences of contacting alien civilizations,
Mhm.
and
It's not exactly optimistic.
it's a theme that's captured the imaginations of many, including some pretty famous folks.
Even Barack Obama and George R.R. Martin have sung its praises.
Wow.
What's so compelling about the series, and this comment thread in particular,
Is how it taps into a very real anxiety we have about,
reaching out to the cosmos,
what if we're not alone?
and worse, what if announcing our presence is the last mistake we ever make?
That's where the dark forest theory comes in, right?
The idea that the universe is like a dark forest full of hunters
And any civilization foolish enough to make noise?
is basically asking to be hunted down,
Precisely. It's a chilling concept.
and one that's resonated deeply with readers, and now, it seems, Redditors.
It makes you wonder, is silence the key to survival on a cosmic scale?
Are more advanced civilizations out there?
Deliberately keeping quiet, listening for any sign of newcomers to exploit or eliminate.
And here we see that very anxiety playing out in the comments.
Triggered by nothing more than a photograph of an old antenna.
It's amazing. Right.
It's like they saw this image and instantly jumped to...
Hold on, are we about to get a visit from the Trisolarans?
Right.
Speaking of which,
How ironic is it that people were pleading, do not answer?
as if responding to a Reddit comment thread could trigger an interstellar invasion.
It speaks to the power of shared cultural touchstones.
The way a work of fiction can suddenly feel incredibly real.
When it intersects with a seemingly mundane image.
Yeah,
But this is where our deep dive takes an interesting turn.
because, as it turns out,
That abandoned Soviet structure everyone is marveling at,
wow.
it's not exactly abandoned.
Yeah, about that.
Leave it to the Reddit hive mind to sniff out the truth.
Turns out this isn't some relic of a bygone era,
But a still functioning observatory
right?
called the Kalyazin Radio Astronomy Observatory.
And not just any observatory.
Thing, it's a giant.
The 6th largest radio telescope in the world.
Wait, hold up.
For those of us who aren't astrophysicists,
Remind us what makes a radio telescope so special.
essentially a radio telescope is like a giant ear.
Designed to pick up faint radio waves from objects in space.
Okay,
These waves can travel billions of light years
giving us a glimpse into the earliest moments of the universe,
and revealing things that optical telescopes,
which rely on visible light, might miss.
so not your average backyard telescope then.
Not at all. And in the case of the Kalyazin Observatory,
Its history is as impressive as its size,
it was actually part of the Soviet space program.
playing a crucial role in missions to Venus and Mars,
You're kidding. This very antenna was used to communicate with spacecraft.
exploring other planets. That's incredible.
It is.
Specifically, the Kalyazin Observatory played a key role in the Vega missions.
Which launched in the 1980s.
Imagine this silent giant standing watch over the frozen landscape.
Was once a vital link between Earth and spacecraft millions of miles away.
Talk about a hidden history.
Who knew a seemingly random image of an antenna could lead us to such a fascinating story of space exploration?
But, as they say on the internet, hold my beer, because this deep dive is about to get even wilder.
You'd think uncovering the
hidden history
of a Soviet-era space antenna
would be enough for one deep dive.
but
The internet, as we know.
is full of surprises.
Right.
And in this case,
The surprise came in the form of a classic video game.
oh yeah, this is where the nostalgia train pulls into the station.
It turns out.
The image of the Kalyazin Observatory
Sparked a wave of comments from people who were reminded,
of a very specific video game level,
specifically,
the Severnaya level.
from the Nintendo 64 game GoldenEye 007.
If you grew up in the late 90s,
Chances are you spent countless hours navigating
Ah,
that snowy Soviet facility.
complete with its own imposing antenna dish.
I can practically hear the soundtrack now.
Just mentioning GoldenEye brings back so many memories.
The blocky
The
graphics.
ridiculously overpowered weapons.
The time.
But I'm curious, what is it about this particular level?
This one visual element that resonated with people seeing a real-life antenna.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
I think it speaks to the power of video games.
Even those with dated graphics.
And somewhat clunky controls.
Right.
To leave a lasting impression on our visual memory.
We internalize these digital spaces.
And when we encounter something that echoes those familiar forms in the real world,
It creates an instant connection.
it's like our brains are saying, hey, I've been here before,
Yeah.
even if that here only ever existed within the digital architecture of a video game.
That's so true.
And it makes you wonder how our experiences with virtual worlds
Especially those we encounter early in life,
might shape the way we perceive and interact with the real one.
but beyond the visual similarities.
I think there's another layer to this GoldenEye connection.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about more than just a shared visual vocabulary.
GoldenEye for a lot of people.
It wasn't just a game.
It was a social experience.
It was gathering with friends after school.
Huddled around a flickering TV screen.
The roar of imaginary gunfire filling the room.
It was trash talk and laughter.
And the thrill of outmaneuvering your opponents.
And maybe,
Just maybe seeing that image of the antenna
even if subconsciously,
tapped into that well of shared experience.
it's a reminder of a simpler time,
A time when the stakes were limited to how many lives you had left in the game.
a powerful nostalgia trip indeed,
But speaking of nostalgia,
and perhaps showcasing my age a bit here.
I can't help but think of another connection sparked by this deep dive
One that bridges the gap
between those early internet forums.
and the interconnected world we navigate today.
Oh,
I'm intrigued.
fill me in.
What other digital rabbit holes has this unassuming antenna led us to?
All right, so we've journeyed from a Reddit thread about a mysterious antenna to the depths of space, and even back to our childhood living rooms. Where else could this possibly lead?
Well, in a way, this entire deep dive has been a journey through the evolution of online discourse itself. Remember those early internet forums?
Absolutely.
Places like Usenet and the bulletin board systems, where people would gather to discuss niche interests, share information, and yes, debate the merits of various GoldenEye weapons.
Oh, absolutely. Those were the early days of the internet before social media took over our lives. You practically needed a map and a compass to navigate those forums.
Exactly. And in a way, this Reddit thread about the antenna with its tangents about alien invasions and nostalgic video game memories feels like a microcosm of those early online communities. It's a reminder of a time when the internet felt more like a collection of interconnected conversations, each one a potential rabbit hole waiting to be explored.
It's funny how something as simple as an image can unlock all these different layers of meaning and memory. For some, it's a gateway to serious scientific discussions about the cosmos. For others, it's a wave of childhood nostalgia, and for some, it's a reminder of the power and potential pitfalls of online information.
It highlights the double-edged sword of our interconnected world, doesn't it? On the one hand, we have instant access to a vast ocean of information, diverse perspectives and communities built around shared interests. On the other hand, that information isn't always accurate, and the speed at which it spreads can be both a blessing and a curse.
It's a good reminder to take everything we see online, even a seemingly straightforward picture of an antenna, with a critical eye. Do your own research, question your assumptions, and don't be afraid to venture down those digital rabbit holes. Who knows what you might discover?
Well said. And maybe, just maybe, those discoveries will lead to even more intriguing conversations, unexpected connections, and a deeper appreciation for the strange and wonderful ways we connect with each other in this digital age.
Absolutely. So the next time you're scrolling through your social media feeds or browsing a random corner of the internet, keep your eyes peeled and your mind open. That seemingly mundane image or article you stumble across could be the starting point of your very own deep dive. And hey, if you find yourself tumbling down a particularly fascinating rabbit hole, be sure to let us know. We're always up for an adventure.